Welcome back from the break, guys. I do hope you're enjoying the show. We are doing your final exam prep just to get you ready for those exams. Thank you so much, Hayley, and over to you.
Thanks, Looney. Welcome back. Now let's see what other questions we got for you today. So our question says, Letaro bought 750-gram tin of coffee for his family. Study the diagram below and answer the questions that follow. Once again, as I said, when you've got a diagram, study the diagram first and then go on to the question. So let's look at our diagram. We've got a cylindrical coffee tin, tells us that. We've got a diameter of 125 millimeters and a height of 190 millimeters and our weight of 750 grams. Now, as soon as I see a calculation like this, there's a few things that go off in my head, like bells that go off, and I basically say to myself, are they in the same unit? So I always like all my measurements to be in the same unit. So I'm going to check my 125 is in millimeters, my 190 is in millimeters, that's perfect. Then I also know whenever I've got a cylinder, somewhere along the line they're going to ask me for the radius. So I kind of like to do that calculation first, but I think I'm going to leave it for now. I'll explain why now. Because the first question says, write down the dimensions of the radius. Then explain the meaning of the term volume, calculate the volume, and they give us our formulas. So let's do each one at a time. So first question says, write down the dimensions of the radius. So I'll go back, my diameter was 125. So I'm going to write that in. My diameter was 125 millimeters. My radius, don't forget, is my diameter divided by 2. So I'm going to quick revision of what the circle looks like. Our circle from the center to the outside, from the center to the outside is a radius. And let's change colors. So from the outside through the center to the outside is a diameter. So not exactly in the center, but that's the theory. So my 125 divided by 2, I'll do that on my calculator. On my calculator, I've got 125 divided by 2 gives me 62.5. So 62.5 millimeters. The next part of the question says, so diagram again, explain the meaning of the term volume. I don't think I'm going to write this, I'm just going to explain it to you. So remember, your volume is a three-dimensional shape and it is the space inside the shape. So volume is always 3 dimensions and it's the space inside. Actually, maybe I should just write this. So space inside a 3D shape. Okay, the question says calculate the volume in centimeters cubed of the cylindrical coffee tin. And then they tell you that you may use the formula. You've got pi times radius times height. You might remember this formula as pi times radius squared times height. So the radius squared is the same as your radius times your radius. And the reason we put that formula in is because, again, four-function calculator does not have the squared button. I'm going to show you that. And they tell you to use pi as 3,142. Always follow the instructions. So always use the numbers that they give you. So although if you are using a scientific calculator, you have the pi button, please rather use 3,142. Okay? It makes it easier for your examiners. So let's see what our volume. We needed it in centimeters cubed. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to convert these into centimeters. And I'm going to show you why in the end. So the diameter is in millimeters, so now we're dividing by 10, so it's 12,5 centimeters. But remember, I need my radius, so that was 62,5. My radius was 62,5 millimeters. So now I'm going to, in centimeters, it's going to be 6,25. Don't round this number off, you keep it exactly like that. My height is 19 centimeters. Just dividing by 10, and I can remember that because I've got this like thing in my pencil case, hopefully, a ruler, and it's got my millimeters on there, so 10 is easy to remember. It's on my legal cheat. My volume, what I like to do is I like to write out my formula. So my volume was pi times R times R times H. And they asked me to use 3,142 times my radius of 6,25 times my radius again and times by my height. Just going to write it underneath here, times by 19. So on my calculator, let's get my calculator out. It was 3,142 times 6,25 times 6,25. Okay, check, always check, left out my decimal, times by 19, and I get an answer of 2331,95. I'm writing that in here, 2331,95. I just want to double check that I actually wrote that out correctly. Right, so that is my answer, and don't forget your units. They want it in centimeters cubed. Now I'm going to just show you what happens if I don't convert first, and how I'm actually going to make the sum so much harder. So what happens if we don't convert? My volume is still 3,142 times by 62,5 times by 62,5 times by 190. And on my calculator, I'm going to show you what that answer becomes. So it's 3,142 times 62,5. Try that again. Keep leaving out numbers. Good thing I'm checking. Times 62,5 times 190. Okay, and now I get a number of 2331,953. 2331,953, comma, and there was decimals, and that's millimeters cubed. Now I told you the difference is when I'm now converting from millimeters cubed to centimeters cubed, I sometimes mess this up because I've got to remember my instinct is to just divide by 10 because I know there are 10 millimeters in a centimeter. But because it's cubed, I actually need to divide it by 10, and I'm going to do this 3 times because it's cubed. So 10 times 10 times 10, or I'm actually going to be dividing by 1,000. So let's go back to my calculator to show you that. Now I'm going to divide that by 10, get an answer, divide by 10, and divide by 10 again. That's not about divide by 10, not 1. And now I get the same answer that I started with. So when you're working with area or volume, it's actually really important for you to convert to the unit that they want the answer in first. And then you avoid this complicated conversions and remembering that I need to convert 3 times if I've got something that's cubed, twice if it's squared. Hey, let's see what the next question is. So let's go to the next question. Well, actually, we've come to the end of my portion of the show. I'm actually going to go through the multiple choice question with you that I hope you've all answered. So let's read the question again. So we've got marks of 10 learners achieved in Maths Lit in a revision class assessment out of 40. And then it gives us all their marks. And the question was, what is the mode of these marks? Okay, and you had A was 21, B was 30, C was 31, and D was 32. Now it's important that you remember what each one of these in our data handling averages mean. So our mode, I'll change colors for a second, our mode has got the O in it, and that is the same as your most occurring. So that's I always use the O for mode as most. Okay, they've both got the O's. Just compared to your median, I'm just going to do a quick recap here, is your middle. So now the median's got your D, and your mean is what we call in everyday words average. Okay, and that's got your A in it and your average. So that's how I remember them. Let's see what you guys said. So our responses off the app were as follows. We had 10 people that said A. Okay, I want to actually write out these numbers again. We had 30 people that said B, about 25 that said C, and finally we had D at 35. Now the question was, what were the answers? So our mode is our most occurring. We check it is in numerical order on our board. Okay, so I'm going to look at, there's only one 21, so I know 21's not it. Okay, there's 3 31, so that's a possibility. Sorry, 3 30s. There's only one 31, so it's not it. And there's 2 32s. Know that I've got 3 30s, so my answer is actually B. So let's go through to our answers, see how many people got it correct. 30 people got it correct, and it was B. So that's our correct answer. And I think that what it comes down to is just reading the question carefully, and especially if you have to put data into order, it's important that you have the correct numbers and just reading it correctly. So I have a feeling that those that said D actually looked for the middle number. Right. On that note, I just want to give you the last few hints that I have for you for the paper. First of all, I want you to say good luck. I want you to remember to read your questions carefully. I want you to answer the questions, and then I'd like you to, if you've got time, go back and reread the questions. Remember, Mathslit has got a context, so you always need to include a unit in your answers. I want you to go to bed early and sleep well. Okay? Don't try and cram during the morning of your exam. Trust that you have done enough by the night before. When you wake up in the morning, take it easy. Be kind to yourself. Read your questions carefully. There it is again. Use your calculator. Make sure that you're actually very familiar with your calculator, so that you've been using the same calculator to practice that you use in your exam. Make sure it's the same. And remember that every single step of your calculations, everything that gets put onto your calculator, everything that you type in, I want to see in your actual answer. So show all working. I'm going to add this for you. Show working. All steps. Show working. Show unit. And remember your rounding and rounding correctly. And finally, check your answers and make sure that your answers actually make sense. And then what I say to all my kids is actually try and enjoy the paper. This might be the last time that you do Mathslit. Well, you've actually got paper 2, but just enjoy it. Take whatever you can out of it. And on that note, I'm going to say good luck again, and I'm going to hand you over to Luni.
Thank you, Haley. Matrix, I hope you guys did enjoy the show. Everything of the best for the exam, as Haley has said. Use our resources to prepare for your exams and just go into it with confidence, and remember you will ace the test if you do prepare yourselves. Congratulations to all of our competition winners who will be announced on our Facebook page after the show. Don't forget to check out our schedule on www.wazamatrix.co.za, and if you missed any of our shows, they are available on our YouTube channel as well. Thank you so much, guys, from me, Luni, Nicolene, and Haley. Goodbye.